The war was almost over, and we were on the outskirts of Aachen, Germany, just reconnoitering, trying to find any stragglers that might have been left behind. We didn't expect to. But another GI and I went into this house, and we found 4 German paratroopers asleep on the floor in one little room with just a little candle in the corner. Sound asleep. No guard or nothing. And we were just amazed. And we said, well, we started kicking them, poking them, and kicking them with our boots, telling them to get up, wake up, get over, line up against the wall. They were just nervous as they could be, you know. But let me back up just a little bit. Back in Wales, they had issued us a little booklet, army booklet, of the language of the country that you were going to. And one of the countries, of course, was Germany. They assumed we'd eventually wind up there. So I studied that little booklet diligently. It was just little common everyday words and phrases that you might use in conversation. But one phrase in there really caught my attention. Pardon my pronunciation, but it was "Hände hoch oder ich schießen." And that meant hands up or I'll shoot. Well, I figured I might have to use that someday. I hope not, because I didn't want to get that close to any German soldiers, frankly. But anyway, when this other GI and I went in that house and didn't capture, we surprised those 4 German soldiers, and I remembered that little phrase, and I thought, man, here's the time to use it. So I shouted out, I thought I shouted it out, but I made one little mistake, one syllable, I missed it. Instead of saying what I meant to say, "Hände hoch oder ich schießen," hands up, I'll shoot, what I actually said was, "Hände hoch oder ich scheißen," hands up, I'll shit. And I probably would have too. And those German soldiers looked at me and looked at each other and started giggling. And I realized what I had said. I knew that word too. And I started giggling too. But in the confusion, that's the funny part. And just a few seconds later, something decidedly unfunny happened. In the confusion and in the merriment, one of those German troopers reached in his shoulder holster and pulled out a German Luger and had it that far out, was going to shoot me, I guess. And just by pure luck, I spotted his movement out of the corner of my eye, and I just whirled around instinctively. I didn't have time to even think about it. I whirled around and shot him twice at point-blank range, really, in his left chest, in his heart, I presume, twice. And I was so close to him that I actually pushed him down with the end of the rifle. And I didn't even look at him again because I was too preoccupied with the other 3, but I could hear the blood gurgling in his throat, and I knew he was dying or dead. So anyway, the other 3 Germans, they were trembling by then. So we marched them back to the POW holding area. And that was the funniest story I ever heard of in the Army. And this is the amazing story. Those are the only 2 shots I fired in the whole war, believe it or not. From December of 44 to May the 8th of 45, through the Battle of the Bulge, through the Colmar pocket down there where I got shot in the buttocks, through the Ruhr River Valley, the Rhineland, where there's not much fighting there really. But anyway, through all that, we were getting shelled constantly. But I only fired those 2 shots. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, I am sure, that there were plenty of other soldiers, in my outfit anyway, that never even fired a single shot. We never got that close to them. We were always the ones getting shot at, not by small arms, not by rifles and machine guns so much. Once in a while we did, but mostly by artillery, 88 artillery and mortars, just constantly. Every day almost we got shelled, and especially when we were in the Ardennes forest, and those shell blasts were hit up in the trees and just steel fragments would just fly everywhere. And in addition to getting actually shot through the buttocks, and actually I got hit in the chest, but a little metal plate deflected it. I got hit, I didn't get hit, but a piece of shrapnel hit me in the helmet and went all the way around it and lodged in my helmet liner, the plastic helmet liner. I came that close. And another time at St. Vith, which was near Bastogne, we were not in Bastogne, but we were nearby there, we were getting shelled, and 3 pieces of shrapnel, big pieces too, hit me in my cartridge belt that I carried for that BAR and just tore up all my bullets. I had to throw them away. But I had 3 extremely close calls. And the funny thing is, before I got hit, I never thought I'd get hit. I just had some invincible complex or something. I figured it'd always be someone else, not me. But after I got hit, my attitude changed 180 degrees. I just knew I'd get hit again, but I never did. But I had those 3 close calls. But as far as shooting, I never shot but 2 shots in my rifle the whole time I was in the war. And like I say, a lot of in our unit probably had the same experience. And maybe in the Germans, because we didn't face each other that closely in general. We were a mile or 2 apart and shelling each other. Now I was awarded a Bronze Star with a V for Valor for my actions that night, but I never felt very, very valorous about it. I just felt lucky as hell to get out alive with that. So anyway, that other GI was a perfect stranger to me. We'd never met, didn't know his name. We were just thrown together that night. And he was a new replacement. And a couple of weeks later, I was transferred to another division, the 2nd. So we never even talked to each other after that incident that night. We didn't even talk about it. And I never knew him and didn't care to know him. But years later, many years later, I got to thinking about it. And actually, when I did that interview for the Library of Congress about 10 years ago, I got to thinking about it. I sure love to know who that GI was with me that night. But I had no way of finding out. This was in pre-Google days. But I got a newsletter, quarterly newsletter from the Veteran Association of the 75th Infantry Division, and one letter in there from a fellow named Walter Wyant, who lived in a little town in Pennsylvania. He was trying to locate an old buddy of his who was in the same unit as we were. And I had known him too. His name was Bob Ward, but I didn't know where he lived or nothing. But I called Walter up in Pennsylvania, and we talked for half an hour about our experiences. And I told him about this experience of another GI and I capturing 4 German soldiers, and I had to shoot one of them. And Walter said, "Don, that was me. That was me. I was that other GI." And I couldn't believe it, but it was just an amazing coincidence. So we talk about once every year, about in December, we talk on the phone, We never met, though, probably never will. But that was a real interesting story.